He parried.
It didn't take much, just a single line tucked into an interview. One sentence from Manny Pacquiao, half observation, half challenge, and the boxing world lit up. He's scared to death to fight again. Pacquiao said it calmly, like someone who wasn't trying to make a headline. Outlets clipped it, and suddenly, a decade-old rivalry was reborn, not in the ring, but in the comment sections. But here's what makes it fascinating. Pacquiao didn't yell it. He didn't even say it like an insult. If anything, it sounded like an observation, a fighter at peace with his own legacy, and confused why Mayweather refuses to revisit theirs. No call-out, no challenge, just a quiet nudge. And that was all it took. Because when Manny Pacquiao speaks, people listen, especially when the subject is Floyd Mayweather. Now, let's be clear. He didn't say the exact phrase in this video's title. He didn't launch an all-out attack. But what he did say, and the way he said it, sparked a question that refuses to die. Why won't Mayweather fight him again? Is it pride? Is it strategy? Or is it fear? In this video, we unpack what Pacquiao actually said, why it's stirring up new waves of speculation, and what it all means for two legends who still dominate the sport without throwing a single punch.
I just want to say this to the world. It's amazing how a fighter can come from, I think, 108 all the way to 154 and knock out all these guys. To me, it's amazing. I guess he's just blessed.
In July 2025, Manny Pacquiao sat down for an interview with Covers.com. It was one of those low-key media appearances that typically fly under the radar until they don't. He was asked about Floyd Mayweather, the fight that defined and in some ways frustrated his legacy. Pacquiao answered with a short, sharp sentence that did exactly what it needed to do. "I don't think Floyd Mayweather will fight me again," he said. "He's scared to death to fight again." No dramatic pause, no grin. Just matter-of-fact delivery, almost like he was talking about someone else. But the weight of that line wasn't lost on anyone. Within hours, the quote was circulating across boxing Twitter, fan forums, YouTube thumbnails, and Instagram reels. And that phrase, "scared to death," ignited everything. Now, to be fair, this wasn't Pacquiao claiming Mayweather was literally afraid of him. In the full context, he was speaking about Mayweather's reluctance to return to high-level competition, Pac avoiding a rematch. That guess is important. It frames the comment not as a fact, but as an opinion, a read from one fighter about another. Still, when someone like Manny Pacquiao says a man like Floyd Mayweather is scared, it doesn't matter how lightly he says it. People pay attention. The media ran with it. Fans started speculating. Was this Pacquiao finally telling the truth about the long-dead rematch? Was he teasing a comeback? Or was this just an emotional comment from a fighter still chasing closure? What's most intriguing is that Pacquiao didn't need to raise his voice. He didn't need to say anything at all, really. But he did, and that single sentence, delivered years after their first fight, landed with more impact than any jab thrown in 2015. Coming up, we dive into the history behind that first fight, what happened, what didn't, and why this rematch, even in rumor form, still hits harder than most of the bouts happening today.
I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
It's kind of, yeah, he's boastful. I think his god is the material things, money, everything like that.
Yeah.
And
To understand why Pacquiao's recent quote still echoes nearly a decade later, you have to go back to May 2nd, 2015. The night boxing stood still. It was the most anticipated fight in modern history. Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Manny Pacquiao. Two global icons, two generational talents. Years of delays, negotiations, injuries, politics, and promotion led to what was dubbed the fight of the century. And then, it wasn't. Mayweather won by unanimous decision in a fight that, while technically brilliant, left many fans underwhelmed. He did what he always does, controlled distance, neutralized offense, landed clean counters, and dictated the tempo. It wasn't explosive, it wasn't dramatic, but it was effective. Pacquiao, meanwhile, looked frustrated. He couldn't find the openings he was used to. His bursts of aggression didn't land cleanly. After the final bell, Mayweather's hand was raised, but the controversy had just begun. In the post-fight interview, Pacquiao revealed that he'd fought with a torn rotator cuff in his right shoulder. The injury, he claimed, severely limited his offense. The Nevada State Athletic Commission denied his team permission to take a pre-fight anti-inflammatory injection, and the issue wasn't publicly disclosed until after the fight. Mayweather's camp dismissed it as an excuse. Pacquiao's camp claimed it changed the outcome. The fallout got ugly. Mayweather called Pacquiao a sore loser. Pacquiao said he still believed he won the fight. Fans split down the middle. Some praised Mayweather's discipline, others felt robbed of a proper war, and the rematch? It never came. Mayweather retired unbeaten at 50-0, seemingly satisfied with the outcome. Pacquiao kept fighting, adding more names to his resume and chasing one more moment that would erase the memory of Mayweather's shoulder-tinged win. That's the backdrop for the scared to death comment. For Pacquiao, there's unfinished business, not just competitively, but personally. The loss still hangs over him. The fight that was supposed to define an era became a strategic chess match most fans watched once and never replayed. And while Mayweather walked away with the win, Pacquiao never walked away with peace. So when he says, "I don't think he'll fight me again," it's not just commentary, it's closure denied. And when he adds, "He's scared to death to fight again," it's not trash talk. It's the lingering belief that Mayweather got out just in time.
Good luck to both of you. Touch them up, God bless.
Kenny Bayless, who is refereeing his 8th Pacquiao fight and 6th Mayweather match, administers his final instructions.
The phrase, "scared to death to fight again," might sound like fighting words, but coming from Manny Pacquiao, it's layered with something deeper than simple bravado. It's not about fear in the traditional sense, not the kind that stops a fighter from stepping in the ring. It's about timing, about legacy, about what happens when you've already won, and the only thing left to do is lose. Floyd Mayweather built an empire on perfection. 50 fights, 50 wins, undefeated, untouched in the record books. To a man who has mastered risk control inside and outside the ring, the idea of a rematch with a newly hungry Pacquiao is a variable he has no reason to entertain. Why give someone a second shot at rewriting history when you've already closed the chapter in your favor? And that's where Pacquiao's comment cuts a little sharper than it first seems. He's not saying Floyd is afraid of getting hurt. He's suggesting Floyd is afraid of what could happen to his image. The risk isn't physical, it's narrative. A rematch, especially one that could go differently, would open the floodgates of revisionism. Maybe Floyd lost the second one. Maybe Manny wasn't healthy the first time. Maybe the fight of the century wasn't the final word after all. Mayweather knows how that story spins. He's seen legends fall chasing one more payday or trying to prove a point. He's built his post-retirement empire on never giving anyone that shot again. Pacquiao, on the other hand, thrives on challenge. Even now, with nothing left to prove, he's still stepping into the ring against younger fighters, fighting not for money, but meaning. So when Pacquiao says he's scared to fight again, it's as much a reflection of their philosophies as their fight styles. Floyd slips, counters, controls. Pacquiao presses, swarms, forces the action. And now, outside the ring, that dynamic lives on. Floyd stays elusive, quiet, calculated. Manny still comes forward. To Pacquiao, Mayweather's silence isn't strategy, it's avoidance. To Mayweather, silence is the strategy. And in that tension lies the weight of Pacquiao's
Boom. You bring the hook with it. You can go to the body. Jab. Just double jab.
You got spread over here.
Hey, not while I'm working.
something?
When Manny Pacquiao laces up the gloves in 2025, he's not just trying to stay active, he's trying to send a message. After a 3-year layoff, retirement announcements, a presidential run in the Philippines, and a fading assumption that his in-ring days were over, Pacquiao announced his return to boxing with a scheduled bout against Mario Barrios. It's not just any comeback, it's a calculated move. Barrios is young, strong, and tested, a dangerous opponent, and that's exactly the point. For Pacquiao, the return isn't about a paycheck. It's about relevance, pride, and legacy extension. In interviews leading up to the Barrios fight, he's been direct about his intentions. He doesn't just want to compete, he wants to shock people. He wants to remind the world that he's not just a historic name, he's still a threat. This comeback is also psychological warfare, subtle but strategic. The more active Pacquiao appears, the more it puts pressure on Mayweather. Not because Floyd needs to fight again, but because the optics start to shift. Pacquiao, older and smaller, is still stepping into real fights, while Mayweather continues to coast on exhibitions against influencers and MMA fighters. The comparison writes itself. And Pacquiao leans into it, not directly, but with just enough edge. "I'm still here," he seems to be saying. Where's Floyd? His team has remained savvy in pushing this narrative, highlighting the difference between a fighter who still takes risks versus one who maintains his record through control and selective engagement. It's not just about challenging Mayweather to a fight, it's about challenging the idea that Mayweather's way of retiring is superior. The comeback is also cathartic. Pacquiao has always been fueled by uphill battles, whether it was climbing through 8 weight classes or bouncing back from defeats that would have ended other careers. He's wired to respond to doubt. And nothing represents unfinished business quite like Floyd Mayweather. Every punch he throws now is, in some sense, a jab at that memory, at that night in 2015, at that loss that still nags. So when he calls Mayweather scared to fight again, it's not a call out from the couch. It's coming from a man still training, still sparring, still chasing fire, because he believes there's still something left to prove. Maybe not to the world, but definitely to one man. The moment Pacquiao's quote hit the internet, the reactions came fast and loud. Headlines exploded across fight news sites. Pacquiao says Mayweather is scared to fight again. Is Floyd ducking a rematch? Even outlets that rarely cover boxing jumped on the story. It wasn't just the words, it was who said them. Manny Pacquiao, calm and collected, casually tossing a spark into a powder keg that had been dry for nearly a decade. On social media, the echo chamber took over. Twitter, or X, lit up with every kind of reaction imaginable. Some fans rallied behind Manny, echoing the sentiment with quotes like, "He's right, Floyd's living off that 50-0. He doesn't want that smoke again." Others defended Mayweather, saying he had nothing left to prove, and that coming back for a real fight would be beneath him. The debate quickly turned into a generational divide, Pacquiao fans framing him as the last warrior, Mayweather fans calling him delusional and grasping at relevance. Reddit boxing threads dissected the quote line by line. Was it strategy? Was it ego? Was Pacquiao setting up hype for a future exhibition? One user pointed out how the media spun the quote. He didn't say Floyd's scared of him. He said Floyd's scared to fight again. Big difference. Another wrote, "He's fishing. And honestly, it's working." YouTube reaction channels did what they do best, looping the quote over and over, slow zooming Pacquiao's face, then flipping to Mayweather training clips or old fight footage. It was the kind of viral crossover moment that modern boxing lives on. Real enough to believe, vague enough to run wild with. The media didn't help calm the storm. While some outlets responsibly included the full quote, others ran with cropped sound bites, omitting the context and pushing the narrative that Pacquiao had finally called Mayweather out. And the fans ate it up. That's the thing about boxing. People aren't just looking for punches. They're looking for stakes, for drama, for unfinished stories. Pacquiao gave them just enough.
One of the best fighters I faced was Manny Pacquiao. He's a future Hall of Famer.
What the is it about Manny, man? He just don't stop coming.
But you know me, I keep my distance because he's real short.
When a fighter like Manny Pacquiao drops a line like he's scared to death to fight again, it doesn't just stir emotion, it stirs the market. Because behind every quote like that is a deeper game being played. The business of legacy fights. These aren't just bouts between two big names, they're high-stakes, nostalgia-fueled spectacles that tap into unfinished narratives and unclaimed bragging rights. And in this arena, perception often matters more than performance. Floyd Mayweather has mastered this game. His post-retirement moves prove it. He fought Conor McGregor in a boxing match that brought in over $600 million. He boxed YouTuber Logan Paul in a bizarre 8-round exhibition that had no judges, no winner, and no risk to his undefeated record. Then came short exhibition bouts against Tenshin Nasukawa, Don Moore, and others, all designed for maximum profit and minimum danger. These events weren't about competition, they were about brand control. Mayweather cashed checks and maintained the mystique. Pacquiao's strategy, by contrast, is more traditional and far riskier. He isn't fighting influencers. He's stepping into the ring with real contenders like Mario Barrios. His comeback is framed around legacy, not entertainment, which is why his comments about Mayweather ring differently. They aren't just promotional, they're philosophical. To Pacquiao, greatness is proven through challenge. To Mayweather, greatness is preserved through control. And yet both men understand the value of legacy fights. They move numbers. They break the algorithm. Whether the fighters are in their prime or past it, fans tune in because of what these fights represent. Honor, revenge, closure, fantasy made real. A Pacquiao-Mayweather rematch, even at their advanced ages, would still sell out arenas, break PPV thresholds, and dominate the news cycle. Because boxing fans aren't watching with their heads, they're watching with their memories. That's why Manny's quote matters more than just a headline. It tests the waters. It gauges interest. It reignites the tension that promoters, networks, and fans all feed on. And whether Mayweather ever responds or not, the buzz alone is currency. Because when you're dealing with icons of this level, talk sells just as much as fists do.
Seconds left. Logan Paul's eating some, might even make it to now it's just survival mode for Logan Paul. There's a left.
In a sport constantly fighting to stay relevant in the shadow of viral knockouts, crossover exhibitions, and influencer gimmicks, the mere hint of a quote from Manny Pacquiao about Floyd Mayweather still dominates the headlines. That says everything. It tells you that legacy still matters. That even in 2025, when both men are well past their primes, their names alone can outshine entire fight cards. And that boxing at its core is still a story-driven sport. Pacquiao's comment, however subtle or intentional, cut through the noise because it tapped into something real, unfinished business. Fans don't want perfection, they want resolution. They want to believe in the idea that pride, rivalry, and legacy still have consequences. That two legends might still lace up the gloves one more time, not for money, not for clout, but for something that was left unsaid the first time. What it also means is that boxing's future continues to orbit its past. New stars are emerging: Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis, Naoya Inoue, Boots Ennis, but none yet hold the emotional gravity of a Mayweather-Pacquiao clash. The old guard still rules the public imagination, and in some ways, that's a problem. But in others, it's proof of how deep these narratives run. Floyd and Manny may never fight again. They probably shouldn't. But the fact that we still care, that every cryptic interview, every offhand quote, still triggers an avalanche of speculation, that's power. That's boxing. For Pacquiao, this comeback chapter is a chance to write on his own terms. For Mayweather, silence is his strategy, but every time he avoids the topic, it only adds weight to it. And for the fans, the saga lives on, in tweets, in edits, in barbershops and blogs. And now, in yet another video where the fight that already happened refuses to stay in the past.
And now Mayweather absorbing these shots from Manny Pacquiao. And this is what Pacquiao has to...
Manny Pacquiao didn't scream it, he didn't sell it, but his words, "he's scared to fight again," hit harder than any left hook. Maybe he meant fear of risk, maybe he meant fear of legacy loss. Either way, the message landed. So now the question is yours. Is Floyd protecting greatness or dodging closure? Let us know what you believe. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want the full breakdown on Pacquiao's comeback, Mayweather's exhibitions, and the rematch that still haunts boxing history, subscribe. The fight is over, but the story isn't.